Hear this. Our National Labor Relations Board has agreements with Mexico, Ecuador, and the Philippines, teaching immigrants how to unionize when they get to America, whether they come here legally or not. And or not is part of the problem. Juan, what about it? Unionize, that's what they want.
Well, what this is about is a global trade. And in fact, you have lots of liberals, the far left in this country, who object to global trade deals. And the administration wants one right now that's right on the table. And they want to say, look, we're teaching people how to unionize in their home countries. They don't know if they're going to come here, but the point is they are in favor of raising wages and union protections for workers overseas, and to reduce the idea that any Democrats and liberals would object to a trade deal.
So Lisa, Juan said that with a straight face, kind of. So I'm smiling just a little bit. So they go over there, the unions go over there, and they go ahead, here's how you unionize, and by the way, wink, wink, nod, nod, if you come over to America, it works here too.
That's exactly what's going on, and I can't believe that Juan was able to say that with a semi-straight face. You know, the reality is, but this also isn't the first time that the NLRB has engaged in any sort of egregious activity and/or overreach. But what is concerning here is, you know, these deals have also been reached with countries that provide some of the largest populations of immigrants, and they're also not discriminating between illegal immigrants and immigrants. Additionally, my understanding is that they're also, you know, trying to provide some sort of safeguards to illegal immigrants who potentially would be fired under the United States, which they should. They declared that they were fired under the guise of, you know, union activism.
Now, John, you're a fair game kind of guy. What about the rest of the countries that want to send illegals over? Canada's going, hey, what about our illegals? We'd like to unionize too.
Well, Eric, I think once again, honestly, are using the whole notion of immigration as a red herring for what really is a government problem, not an immigration problem. I mean, who is behind this? The NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is an arm of government specifically designed to give advantages to unions. So, you know, the government shouldn't be teaching anyone anything, and certainly not teaching unions how to unionize. That is cronyism on the highest level.
Yeah, and Wayne, union membership in this country has been dwindling, has been nosediving. Then look, they're trying to preserve themselves, so they go over, you know, outside the borders and see if they can bring some illegals in.
Yeah, that's true, Eric. But the problem here is this is another example of the government falling all over itself. It doesn't know what it's doing. One arm of the government is saying one thing in their jurisdiction, and another arm of the government is saying something else. First of all, if a person is illegal under the present law, and you discover that he's illegal as an employee, that worker has to be fired. Right. That's what the law says. Now, whether you want to hire him or not, that's what the law says. You can't have the National Labor Relations Board going around encouraging illegals to come into the country and unionize when the law already says you got to fire him if you hire him. It's dumb. It's the federal government. It's the federal government getting in front of itself and stepping on its own foot all over again. They ought to stay out of the whole thing.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. In fact, Eric, the most prosperous era in this country's history came before the NLRB, came before all these handouts and interventions, and with periods of high immigration. So the NLRB, it's not just that it overreaches, it shouldn't exist. So government's supposed to be fair and treat everyone the same, not give special favors to unions.
Point, Jonathan. The question I wanted to ask was, if the NLRB is supposed to be independent, they're supposed to arbitrate these issues, why are they promoting the unions to go over out of the country and unionize? Why would they get in that? They're basically in a camp already.
They're not promoting unions to go out. They're saying to people, you can organize and protect your interest in your home country. In fact, I'm amazed that you guys see this as
government involved in that?
Why is our American
government involved in that?
Care what they do over there?
Because we are doing business. This is a global economy, and you cannot get away from that. This is not, you know, a Pax Americana. Just one last point to Jonathan. You know, that period when American wages and American workers did best, guess what? The highest level of unionization.
Very quickly, Jonathan, when the NLRB condones unionizing, haven't they already shown their hand?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, why does the NLRB even exist? Why does an arm of government that, in fact, we're all paying for exist simply to serve one group like unions? And Juan, you say, well, it's good for globalization that we're teaching people in other countries how to unionize. If businesses want to deal with other countries, they should. Government shouldn't be involved in teaching them anything.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. Coming up, Harry Reid had